Hello my friends and welcome back to the rabbit hole. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a get ready with me, not with anything particularly new, just whatever I have. Mainly, I want to talk a little bit about what's happened to the KVD brand. So I'm going to go ahead and start this video off with eyeshadow, and I'm going to be using the Ofra Soul palette that they had originally sent me, but if you saw that video, I talked about how he's going to reorganize it, and I absolutely have. I've got Anastasia shadows, Pure shadows, Makeup Geek. Oh my gosh, Makeup Geek shadows in here. I bought some more shadow. I bought this bronzer from Ofra, this blush. So we'll talk more about it throughout this video. I do want to start this video with the Kat Von D situation. Oh, I called it Kat Von D. That's going to be a real hard habit to break, I must admit. So I feel like most of you probably already know roughly what's happened. So if you don't, we have to travel back in time to when people decided to boycott Kat Von D. There was a lot of rather nasty stuff that came out about her. I know a lot of people think that it was just her being anti-vax. For me, it was a whole lot more. I had a long list of reasons not to buy from Kat Von D's brand because I didn't like who Kat Von D was as a person. I feel like I should say something really quickly in terms of the whole idea of boycotting a brand. When I talked about Too Faced, some amount of people didn't particularly love that video, which is understandable. I get it. But I think it's because, this is at least my perception, I think that people have a bit of a negative connotation to this idea of boycotting, and I can see how you might have that, but I don't actually think it needs to be negative. For me, at least, the idea is, I don't make a ton of money, and what money I have, I would rather it go towards brands that align with my ethics, brands that are doing, good things in this world rather than brands with negative energy. So the intent for me in no longer using or buying from a brand is actually a positive as opposed to negative act. I feel like for a while there were conversations in the beauty community as far as, was this actually working? Were we actually making an impact? Because, you still saw Kat Von D often, rather often. And it sometimes felt like, are we getting anywhere? But then we started to see Kat Von D appearing at TJ Maxx. And I remember the community saying, you guys, it's working. It has to be working. We've never had this amount of Kat Von D at TJ Maxx. We've never had the sales that we had on this brand. Well, now we're caught up and I can tell you the latest. So the latest is Kat Von D announced that she was leaving completely her beauty brand, handing it over to Kendo, which was the parent company before. And Kendo posted to their Instagram that they are keeping the name, the initials, but they're changing the name completely. And I gotta double check what it is because I will say it wrong if I don't. What does KVD and KVD Vegan Beauty stand for? The KVD in our new name, KVD Vegan Beauty, stands for our ethos and new manifesto. It does not stand for a person's initials. I wonder who. We believe in kindness, vegan beauty, and discovery and doing good. So the new name is kindness, vegan beauty, discovery, and doing good, vegan beauty. That's a mouthful. What a miss. Kindness, vegan, diversity. Done. I made it so much easier for you guys. How did you miss that? Please click my email in the description box for more good ideas. Rates vary. But let me tell you what I really do actually very much like, what I very much respect, and what might actually make me go back to this, well, not go back to, but go to this KVD brand. So here existed a problem in the fact that Kat Von D turned out to be a terrible person. Her entire brand had her initials written all over it. I think that Kendo knew this. They knew that this was a problem, that these three initials stood for a person that so many people had grown to dislike. So they had to sit down and they had to say, what do we do about this? We could throw away all these products, completely change the packaging so that there's no KVD on it, Or we could work with those initials, change the meaning of them, and not make a contribution to the waste on this planet, but rather give new meaning to those initials. And they do talk about this in their latest Instagram post. And, you know, I can't not respect this. I think we have such a giant problem of waste in this world. To try to find a resolution for, you know, not producing more waste, but still giving people back these products that they missed, I feel like they did a great job. At the end of the day, I do think it's a bit of a tough situation, though. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people decide never to buy from KVD ever. But at the same time, I think that it's a good way of giving an option. I guess basically, my bottom line, my thesis statement for this video is that I really do think Kendo made the best of this situation. They figured out a way to cut down on waste, and I admire that. I'm going to be using the Physicians Formula Killer Curves Mascara, Voluptuous Curl, and Volume Hourglass Shaped Brush. How do I get into this packaging? I'll tell you guys what I really wanted to buy was that Ilia Limitless mascara, but man, that thing is expensive. So back to the drugstore for some hopefully good mascaras. As I crack into a new mascara, I did want to talk a little bit about my thoughts on waste reduction, especially as it pertains to beauty. I do feel like a lot more people are talking about the issue of overconsumption and the waste problem. There's even a documentary on Netflix, which is really quite depressing. It's in that, I think the name of the show is Broken. If you saw the makeup episode, keep watching. It's actually a really good just show in general. But it's a little depressing. You know, it talks about how even if we think we're recycling, what we're recycling isn't actually being recycled. It's such a mess. And so naturally there's been more talk in the beauty community, a lot more people talking about our responsibility as beauty consumers. Here's why I think I might have a controversial opinion. I agree with that. We really should, you know, take steps to make sure that we are not consuming in excess. But at the same time, I think a lot more of this responsibility needs to fall on makeup brands. At the end of the day, you know, we're just the consumers. We're just the ones buying the products that you guys release. You know, these brands are out here releasing. So how ColourPop. How many palettes are you going to release? And you know, there's people that want to collect every ColourPop palette. Should we be blaming them for this, or should we blame ColourPop because they started with a couple really good palettes that, you know, really high quality, affordable palettes, and now I don't even have any clue how many ColourPop palettes there are these days. But like, is that the consumer's fault? No. Man, I'm over here getting heated again because I'm tired of it being just this individual responsibility thing. It's a shared responsibility situation. I guess at the end of the day, I think that we should, you know, do our part in, especially in terms of buying products, you know, doing the research to make sure that a product will work out for our skin type, for our preferences. Certainly not doing things like buying with the intention of returning. I think that most of you guys that watch this channel would never do this. But we'll be honest for a second, you guys know that goes on. We all know that there's some people out there doing that, and that right there is knowingly contributing to the problem of overconsumption. But I guess my bigger concern is that I worry that we might hyper-focus on just the beauty industry and end up, you know, making people feel bad about enjoying their hobby when there's actually, in my personal opinion, other conversations that we need to have as well. It's quite possible that I think about this more than maybe other people might, just because of what I've seen this do to my city. So my city is quite the tourist spot. We have a lot of people come for a rather large event known as Mardi Gras, and it is just such an a season of waste. Let me tell you guys this in case you don't know. We locals hate Mardi Gras beads with a great passion. There actually was a documentary a couple years ago on Not just the amount of waste that Mardi Gras beads were contributing to the city, but how the entire tourist industry was creating so much waste. It was really interesting. They actually traced the beads to where they were being made, which was essentially in sweatshop conditions. A really depressing documentary. Let me look up these numbers so I make sure I quote them correctly. So this city alone pulled 93,000 pounds of plastic beads out of just the storm drains. In 1 year, we had 3 million pounds of trash after Mardi Gras. 3 million pounds. Now, let me tell you right now, if you don't already know, this is absolutely the fault of the businesses, the fault of the hotels, the fault of the entire tourist industry that is contributing. I can't even wrap my head around the quantity of waste that is being contributed to this city every single year. All right, so I'm almost done with this look, but I am going to finish with the blushes and highlighters in that Ofra palette that I talked about at the beginning of this video. I also wanted to tell you a little bit more about this palette and why I've fallen in love with it. So I'm using this one first, the Egyptian Clay 3D Pyramid Bronzer. I hope I said that name right. I actually did buy that one. I also added to this palette that pink blush. I think it's called Pink Lady. Oh, it's so pretty. So that's how I do my super intense blushes. You kind of start with just a small amount, like a dot, and then you blend. I think the reason I've fallen in love with this palette so much is that I guess I've rediscovered single eyeshadows, and this makes it so easy for me to switch out whatever eyeshadows I want. It's almost like an extension of the creative process that is, applying makeup in the first place. It's, first off, I'm using the shadows in here, the blushes, the bronzer, the highlight, but then when I change my mind about what I want in here, I switch everything around and I get to be creative in that aspect as well. And I really do like that it's pretty standardized. I don't think anybody else has highlighters that are the size of Ofra's, but I don't really mind because I do love Ofra's highlighters. It would bother me if I couldn't switch the eyeshadows with other eyeshadows from my collection. And that's actually why I don't like Makeup Geek's rebranding. I don't like their repackaging. I am so sad that now they're squares because, this one that I used today, this is, I don't remember the name of it. Voltage. I get the logic. I see why brands would be like, well, you buy our system, you want to switch out the eyeshadows, you gotta buy from us. Seems like it would make sense in that type of capacity, but the truth is, my experience from this palette is I'm more likely to fall in love with it or buy from you again if I feel like I have more freedom in what I do. If I feel like, okay, well, I'll check the Ofra website for a shadow I might want, but if I decide to go with Anastasia Beverly Hills, then I can. The option exists. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm shocked at how much I like this. I have not had the desire to buy a single palette since this year started. I haven't bought a palette, not a single palette. I did buy a lot in December, in all fairness, but if I need a color, some specific color scheme becomes popular, I could just buy a couple singles with this, So that's all I have for today's video. I gotta say I'm really happy with how this look turned out. If you're interested, I will go ahead and pull out each of those shadows and look at the back and put them all in the description box below. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on everything we discussed today. What do you think of KVD beauty? Do you think that corporations are to blame for the excessive waste? And what do you think of single eyeshadows? Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.